So welcome tonight. I am very happy to see all you. We've got a wonderful set of readings tonight, as well as over a dozen open mic readers at this point. And I'd like to begin, since prior to this we were talking about winter, by letting you all know, because it's nice to have things in the future, that tomorrow is Eat Ice Cream for Breakfast Day. It began locally in Rochester with a woman, a mother of six in the early 60s. And it's become not just a national, but an international day. And here's how it works. Eat ice cream first Saturday in February for breakfast. So that's something to look forward to. It's also, today is Rosa Parks' birthday, born February 4th, 1913. And unfortunately, we lost a wonderful man of peace. Thich Nhat Hanh died on January 22nd at the age of 95. He said, "Poetry nurtures love." And I think we'll find evidence of that tonight. So I want to start with a couple of interesting quotes that I've culled from my various readings. One is, don't cling to a poem just because you spent a lot of time making it. I think that's good advice. And this kind of corresponds with that. Colette said, sit down and put down everything that comes into your head, and then you're a writer. But an author is one who can judge his own stuff's worth without pity and destroy most of it. E.O. Wilson, who we also lost December 26th of last year at the age of 92, once said, the ideal scientist thinks like a poet and only later works like a bookkeeper. Real scientists do not take vacations, they take field trips. June Jordan says, and I really believe this, we are the ones we have been waiting for. And lastly, Mary Oliver wrote, my loyalty is to the inner vision, whenever and whosoever it may arrive. If I have a meeting with you at 3 o'clock, rejoice if I'm late. Rejoice even more if I do not arrive at all. Well, tonight, I'm very pleased to introduce Quintin Collins, who is a writer, editor, and Solstice MFA program assistant director. His work appears in many publications, and his first full-length collection of poems is The Dandelion Speaks of Survival. That's Cherry Castle Publishing, 2021. His second collection of poems is Plane Tickets for Stolen People, selected by Marcus Jackson as winner of the journal's 2020 Charles B. Wheeler Prize and published by the Ohio State University Press, Mad Creek Books, in this year. Quintin's awards and accolades include a Pushcart Prize and the 2019 Atlantis Award from the Poets Billow, as well as Best of the Net nominations. Please welcome Quintin.
Thank you so much, Richard. Just remarking earlier, I was like, wow, when did I last get to come to one of these? And it was like in Newtonville, more years ago than I can really remember at this point. So, thank you to PoemWorks as well for creating the space for the poetry to happen. We need to do more of that in this world at all times, not just in the whole now more than ever since. So tonight I'm going to read poems from both my books. So The Dandelion Speaks of Survival came out last year, and Claim Tickets for Stolen People's book birthday is actually on Monday, which is a weird thing to think. I never expected to put out 2 books within 9 months, but here we are. So yeah, I'm gonna get into it, and then afterward, just enjoy the vibes. So this first poem is called Granny's Absolutes. I try to have threads or narratives whenever I read, because there are things I either try to do in the books individually and separately and together, and then there are things that just happen. So yeah, tonight's threads turned out to be family, ruminations on life and death, and yeah, maybe some other things in there, maybe some other things. So this is Granny's Absolutes. Crisco can coated in recycled grease like candle wax, always full, just below the rim. Bisquick whipped into silver dollar pancakes, canola oil that crisped the edges amber. In the belly of a paper grocery bag, more grocery bags, folded to later line a trash bin. Solitaire sprawled on the tray table. Television volume roared like metro trains rocketing the rails. Trinity trappings on the wall. A white crucifix yellowed from fish fried every Friday. All infractions fixed with a paint stick on your ass. Didn't you know Granny can run? Insulin rolled around glass vials. Fun-sized confectionaries in a jar. Gumbo muddy with crab meat over minute rice. Bubbles that rippled a low simmer on the stove. Every kiss hello, every kiss goodbye. Her stubble chin carved I love you into our cheeks. The day of her funeral, her chin smooth, powdered. Then I knew, kissing her cold, all familiar things could be taken.
Nice.
And now to switch gears. So that one was one for my grandmother. This one is one for my grandfather. And this one's called Reynolds Wrapped Leftovers. Casserole dish, room temp memory, half-eaten aluminum eye, clatter off the roll, crackle over, leftover meals, peaks, valleys, crinkles, hymns smoothed over the Pyrex serving pan, lip baked macaroni or peach cobbler, cobbled armor, jagged ridges, lunchbox sandwich sheets, shimmer, sheets spun round cardboard swords, for Halloween Tin Man trappings, chrome sphere, arced back, cocked back, free throw basketball, trash cookie come from collateral damage. I pull too much. Try to rewind it around the roll. Now wrinkled again, I pull. Sheet zippered against sharp waves. Ripped like skin when a thumb nicks the cutter. Uneven tear, extra shrapnel. Fistfuls, fragment, carnage, clutter, loose scraps, kitchen drawer. Stuffed. Save a morsel. Rough edge, like an old Bulova watch. Retirement gift from my grandfather's. Years at Reynolds Metals Company. The McCook plant engraved on the case, his grave, the gun salute. My uncle places the watch in my palms so I can save a piece of his father for later.
Mm.
And now back to Dandelion for, this is a poem called Editor's Note on Code Switching. So I used to, in my more so day job, do a lot of editing work. And it was just like this really weird thing of knowing the colonial and oppressive nature of enforcing English grammar and English language in its strictest senses, while then at the same time working against that in the poems I'm writing. So this is called Editor's Note on Code Switching. Red pen ready, I lasso errant modifiers, enforce the lexicon of the uncommon folk. Child of the common tongue, I coerce commas to correction with comments. I erase all errors in copy, mismatched antecedents scared of my keystrokes. I cut very, really, both, and their comrades in the concision rebellion. I rebuff in order to break meandered syntax into well-behaved heirs of Hemingway. With active verbs as my vocation, I strike passive voice, banish participles on principle. The faithful editor, I bow before grammar, a bounty of carrots, my offering to this god. In its name, manual of style spread on the desk, I cross off disobedient dashes, insert semicolons to consecrate clauses. But when the workday concludes, I transpose my speech, spill every ain't in M, loosen my talk, unwind words I learned from grown folks gossip. My grandmother gifted nigga please to my ears, phrases created on the playground, mispronunciations from my blue collar kin and friends. I am a child of the common tongue. The talk they teach you to tuck. I move between the master's tools and the speak my cousin spits. Saturday night chicken grease slick, Sunday morning hymnal crisp. And so this next poem is called Might Catch My Niggas. Might catch me and my niggas knotted in the dirt. My niggas all fists and elbows and grapples and just a bunch of boys. Might not say yo mama again. Might not catch me saying nigga in front of my mama. Might catch my grandma saying nigga in front of me. Might catch my nigga's chest puff. Might catch a brick on your forehead. 4 fingers and the thumb might paint your eye black. 5 fingers might snatch a discount. My niggas might catch a football, might catch the beat. My niggas might beef. Might not be my niggas for long. My niggas might mend some shit to gold. Might change $1 to a dream. You feel me, my nigga? My nigga, you good? Might harbor some angst. Might gutter healing in nigga. Like a reservoir catches rainwater. Might catch runoff, my nigga. Might run off, my nigga. Yeah, might run until they can't catch me. Cops might snatch another black body with the sidewalk. Might catch pavement in my teeth. The whole city might catch the smoke. Might catch that brick through a window. My mouth is glass and cinder, and America might snatch my neck on live TV. My life might change to a hashtag. Might catch a bullet before I catch a break, my niggas. Might catch a bullet if we run. Might catch a bullet if we don't. Might catch us before the grave. And so this next poem is called Elegy is a Room for My Dead. And it's another one that I wrote for my grandfather. And it's this weird thing because I was asked to write a poem when he died, because when your family finds out you write poems, they want you to write a poem for every funeral. So this is me getting around to it 10 years later. Elegy is a Room for My Dead. I try to reinvent you. A white gravestone in a field of white gravestones. I conjure this image instead of you. When you died, I was asked to write an elegy for the funeral. I didn't know how to make you from the blank page, another cavity for the body you inhabited to fill. Even now, nearly a decade later, I recall the lazy boy, how you left the indent waiting for your return, like the left margin expects my cursor will come back. Another foot to lift you another foot from the grave. Row by row, the headstone sprawl stanzas for the dead. Did you know that stanza comes from Italian? It means room. Let me reconstruct you in the living room. You sit, radio on your chest, socks at the Cubs for the Crosstown Classic, a metro train roaring, then leaving. The leaving is where I ruminate, that the room is dirt, and the real room that's empty of you for almost a decade now. How much have I reinvented you in this poem versus rendering your absence in the stanza breaks? Each return, another reach just short of heaven. Over which ocean will I scatter these ashes I wrote for you? I can't even properly visit your headstone in a poem.
Wow.
And so this next poem is a little lighter, a little funnier. So this is called The Alchemy of Our Uncle's Chest Hair. That bounty curled from the convergence of shirt collar ornamented with Figaro. Sweat stagnates on the sternum, gilds the strands in sunlight. Our uncles offer a word with the Corona, Budweiser, or Heineken in hand at the barbecue. Chest strands snaked over the neck of a tank top. Reservoir for a stream of whiskey, tequila, cognac that misses their lips, rolls down their chins. If you let them narrate, like their myths of Jameson that transmutes into hair on our chest after the booze burns dull in our throats, they don't spill any liquor. Our uncles forget to mention this alchemy requires patience. They begin to manifest this magic in boyhood. Days running the block with other boys until our grandmothers echoed their names from front stoops. That same echo prompts the gold glow. Summer afternoon sunlight slicked round loops of our uncles' chest hairs as they turn ribs on the grill. In their woven sandals, they weave their stories between sips, shots, and grown folks' conversations. We listen to their silver-tongued tales, how they persuade truth to stretch like the fibers spread over their collars. Only when their hair silvers into Cuban links do we understand how liquor can orify our once bare bodies when we, before a mirror, notice a single strand spirals from our chest. So does anybody here know how to play spades? So it's this fun thing with spades, and I found this out when I learned how to play, because people used to make fun of me because I couldn't. Whenever you're trying to teach someone how to play, that person is the one person in the set of four who can't. It's never like you go in a room and like everybody doesn't know how to play. There's always one who doesn't. But once you get good at it, learning how to actually play the game is only second to learning how to like flick the card down so it slaps the table. So like when you know you've got it, like you have to let them know you've got it with the delivery. So this poem is an ode to that, and also just an ode to the entire game, because it's one of those contentious things that, you know, at the end that people may be, you know, fighting with fist and all that, but really it's a very tender moment. So this poem is called "Flipping a Table to End a Game of Spades Means I Love You." When God set fire to Sodom and Gomorrah, he probably rolled his wrist in the same way. The revolution and flick flung wrath with a thwack. It sounds like skin slapped skin, makes the victim a pillar of salt as the big joker smacks the tabletop. This full body, get up from your seat, smack down in spades was prophesied in the smack talk before the game started. The dealer shuffles with a flutter like your auntie floats about the backyard to Frankie Beverly. The cookout cools down to uncles who cradle one beer too many and slices of 7-Up cake. Little cousins, sugar swollen but sleepy, bounce, giggle as the first kings collect books. Renegade accusations cut the card game with yells, a move unsuited for someone's mama house. So the chatter chills. Crickets call the sun down behind the trees. Citronella torches foretell the fire to descend on the cards. When it comes, a queen to beat, all kings and aces accounted, a cocked elbow goes forth. Rises to meet mosquitoes that flit in search of fresh blood. That joker makes James Brown scream on the stereo, somebody down, from aggravation with God or bad luck, the table lifts. All cards cascade on concrete. Don't recount the books. Just run it back, elbow and wrist ready.
Wow.
So my second to last poem is another cookout barbecue poem from Claim Tickets called This Life My Father Roused. And again, thank you all so much for being here. Like, I appreciate it. It's like Friday and we're here for poetry. Like, that's dope. Like, some people like want to watch sports, but like, we get to have poetry. Like, we're winning. All right, so this is called This Life My Father Roused. My father, baptized by morning dew, he mows, he trims, he sweeps, he bags, he shepherds patio furniture into prayer circles. He exercises dust from chair cushions, heirlooms after funeral. To another heirloom, his father's grill, he feeds cold bellyfuls that go from smirks of ember to cackle of blaze. He turns hot dogs, hot links, chicken thighs, burgers, ribs, pork chops. He turns up the stereo to woo the late arrivers. Aretha serenades her angel. We thank God for everyone there, everyone not, every hand that made the food and the food. Sweet Baby Ray's sticky stains and King's Hawaiian rolls butter blessed. We commune over 2 plates, Miller High Life, then 7-Up cake before a deck of cards smites the tabletop. Before fireworks, this life my father roused at dawn with a lawnmower full of gasoline. A boom trumpets the cookout, but not illumination to celebrate independence. My father's laughter, a rapture like a firecracker in twilight. And so this final poem is an ode to Samuel L. Jackson called Samuel L. Jackson's Motherfucker. And I just got so inspired when I like heard the story of like why he says he swears so much, that it was helping him overcome some speech things he had going on as a kid. And I was like, yeah, like that's a great way to reclaim something. So like let's interrogate that a bit. So, you know, again, thank you all for the time and the attention. Yeah, this is Samuel L. Jackson's Motherfucker. We motherfucker like every syllable riddles flesh with a new opening. We motherfucker with the fury of mothers who would slap the brown off our skin if they heard us utter. Slap our speech to stutter. We motherfucker again with friends to free our speak, unleash phonemes garbled in our teeth. We motherfucker at school. We motherfucker in the streets. We motherfucker when the DJ lays down the beat. We motherfucker when we won't lay down the beef. Or simply because we need more punctuation to tell you motherfuckers that we don't need to double speech. Yes, we know English, motherfucker. All the way air erupts from our throats for scholarly quotes and polite conversation. But what we're saying, motherfucker, is when God gave us a bounty of words, we made a meal of fricatives, nasals, and plosives to flick explosions off our tongues every time we shout, motherfucker. Our grandmothers ate chitlins. What makes you think we can't recondition expletives for every mode of expression? Motherfucker, we eat everything and regurgitate gold from our innards when we cuss. Trust, motherfucker. Thank you.
Wow, really, really enjoyed that reading. Thank you so much, Quintin. You know, I've said it in the past when we had Matt Sisson here that the distance between cosmic and comic was only, you know, 1 letter. And Quintin, in your case, I think the distance between musing and amusing is separated only by 1 letter. Really, really enjoyed your reading, and the rhythms, just the presentation, really, really fabulous. Thank you so much. Well, Alexis Ivy is a 2018 recipient of the Mass Cultural Council Fellowship in Poetry. She's the author of Romance with Small-Time Crooks, Blaze Vox, 2013. Can't believe it's that long ago. And Taking the Homeless Census, Saturnalian Books, 2020, which won the 2018 Saturnalia Editors Prize. A Boston native, her poems have been displayed in City Hall and featured by Mass Poetry aboard the Red Line subway. Her poems have recently appeared in Saranac Review, Poet Lore, and Sugar House Review. She works as an advocate for the homeless in Cambridge and teaches in the PoemWorks community. Please welcome Alexis.
Hi, everyone. It's really great to be here. Thanks, Richard, for inviting me again. And also, it was so good to hear you, Quintin. Just amazing. Thank you. So I'm going to begin reading from my latest collection, Taking the Homeless Census. And I'm going to begin with the first chapter, which is the crown of sonnets I've written called the A Street Shelter. I'm going to begin in the middle of the crown, though. So, sonnet number 8. I had to take it when I was a child, Pam said, and I nod a yes. I am like her, show up for her, promise I'll be there for all the homeless I can. Stow blankets, hand out donated quilts, give people sleeping out in the rain ponchos, feed them protein bars, ham and cheese melts I make before my shift. Nuts I chose for Vegan Joe. He likes to be known. And I see her, Pam, drunk, can't leave the ground where she sprawls because today she's sick of life. I tell her of the world I know with a walk-in center for women. My job sweaters me. I'm careful, refuse to bleed, used to bleed. I'm careful, refuse to bleed, used to bleed. I first see Sharon at the end of her intake, drunk. She isn't wearing her teeth like she was last week when we were hugging hello at an NA meeting. Share with the group the truth about ourselves. She knows my deep darks. Can't have her living here. This is the one place no one can tell on me. This was my safe place for me not to have my history. Maybe she'll leave. Maybe she'll want to clean up. Maybe she'll go to a program, get sober, have teeth again. Maybe I'll give her my business. I've got your number, she says, Alexis. I've got your number, she says, Alexis. I wasn't there when she took off. It was the morning shift and she must be in bliss in her new one bedroom. All the walls were pine. She would put up her heirloom curtains. Her kitchen drawers she's filled with silverware stolen from the lunchroom. She died, doped up so high, her needle still in her vein. Kept wishing she were here. I would have Narcaned her not breathing. She was found on her so-new mattress, wrapped in her curtains, hadn't gotten bedding yet, housing. She finally had it, a headstone, in the God sense of things, a place of her own. In the God sense of things, a place of his own, a man asleep on the bedrock construction site. It's 10 below. He must sting, his moan mildewed with booze. He wants nothing from me. I didn't want to leave him, but I did. I wish he wanted a place to go. Outside is where I work, and out here people die. One kid shot, stole pills off the wrong guy. Chicken choked, heart fails, drunk falls downstairs. Tonight I saved no one. I wish I had given him mittens, hand warmers, gloves to wear. I wanted to make the run, would have driven him to shelter so he'd be warmed, yes, would have cleaned the back seat of his sickness. Would have cleaned the back seat of his sickness, just so I could know the eye of one-eyed Sid, his eye torn shut like that, tearless, how it got to be that way, and why it took so long for his left lid to wake, crusted shut each morning, his caged eye. He asks for socks. I ask him snowflake or unpatterned. Warm, he says. A necktie I get him. His court date is the 9th. No thanks, he says to a face-saving button-down shirt from the clothing closet. Won't take a razor to shave. Flirts, subtle grin, puts his hand on mine. You have moonstones, the 2 nicest eyes I have ever known. The 2 nicest eyes I have ever known sit on a bench with Kit. I give them water. It's beer 3 so far, chaperone, 2 Eyes tells. Do they pretend that they ration their beers to please my worry? Kit's moved on from liquor to Listerine. Her coat is covered in dried bird shit. I've seen her beg, seen her cop drugs, seen her talk unslurred, neatly dressed, looking housed. The cops called us with a code 110, homeless drunk. Not a crime, not an anything. They had just ran out of beer. I can recognize those fleeing detox cries, see their out-of-money eyes, look to me. Their out-of-money eyes look to me. In the train station, I offer to walk Jane to shelter. I'm living at Lori's house. It looks like she's been here, parked on the floor, hasn't come to the shelter since her boyfriend died there, OD'd. Couldn't get to his heart medics, cut off his shirt. I was there. Another night I took work home with me. I can tell she's high. A pile of Kit Kat wrappers shine beside her. Her skull cap is her pillow, the hat she won't remove. I've been high, outside, waiting for a hymn. I know that story. Past their home, I came to poetry. I'm going to read a poem that I admire from Barbara Helfgott Hyatt, who founded this series, who isn't here tonight, and just in respects to her. And I also chose this poem because I was so influenced by it that I wrote a response to the poem, and which I'll read to you after this. This is by Barbara Helfgott Hyatt. Painted horse on the carousel. The ones who come to ride kick my flanks and saddle me with herdings, chase me from here to kingdom come. I will not take the bridle, even if they press shut my snout, even if they pull my ears, pain is the fury I thrive on. I am hoof kick, the chestnut force of life hereafter, the once in utter certainty. The hot, raw center of the business. My body stands where it is, meeting its assignments, life by life, as I was made to, as I want to. So my poem is called Allegiance in 5 Stanzas, and it's in the form of a pantoum. I'm going to be reading a lot of form tonight, just to warn you. Allegiance in 5 stanzas. I will write the rest of my life how steadfast I am. It's my job. It's all I can do. How steadfast. I am a carriage horse. It's all I can do. My boots clip-clop the pavement. A carriage horse breaking my heart on the page. My boots clip-clop the pavement. I carry everyone along. I break my heart on the page, writing my bridled life. I carry everyone along, born for this and to this. Writing my bridled life is my job. Born for this and to this, I will write the rest of my life. My next poem is Map of Boston, 2013. From my fire escape, a blue balloon has strayed from its party, caught on a tree. It's out of breath, tired of the bullying wind. From up here, I can make out the other side of the playground, and a dandelion in the alley grows out of a crack. I didn't grow up well-mannered, no linen napkins on my lap, but on paper plates on Center Street, one of childhood's main drags. I've moved out of my folks' house, where the one leaf in my salad was iceberg, learned to lose my mother's Boston accent, learned how dirty half-melted snow can get. I could show you certain corners of Mattapan clotheslines keep high rises from falling, fights break out, windows stay broken, hate crimes caked in paint on storefronts. Even I was dangerous once, buying late summer smack, overheating the car on Blue Hill Ave. These days, it's murder on Boylston Street. It's pressure cookers tearing the marathon apart, blowing legs loose like bricks in the blizzard of '96. The Commonwealth is constantly in revision. Even I edit myself, take out every never, each always. I used to think explosions near the finish line meant victory.
Wow.
I'm going to move on from my book and read poems that I've been writing the past couple of years in my in progress manuscript that doesn't have a title yet. And it's a lot of formal poetry, just to warn you all again. So the first poem is another pantoum I wrote, and it's called How My Heart Gets Said. I stop for the view on the horizon. It's true, or partly true. Every place is a vista I keep going to. It's true, or partly true. I can't tell how far I've gone, and I keep going too. No one's on this path. I can't tell how far I've gone through these cedars, maples. No one's on this path. No openings, no cut-throughs through these cedars, maples. Sometimes the only way is the only way. No openings, no cut-throughs. I can never go back the way I came. Sometimes the only way is the only way. I stop for the view, the horizon I can never go back to. The way I came, every place is a vista. This next poem's in the form of a triolet. Differentiation. I cry in this poem. There's a difference between weep, sob, and cry. Weeping is silent. I weep on trains alone. I cry in this poem. Sobbing is so loud. Sob only in private. When I write the poem where I caught you in a lie, I cry. In this poem, there's a difference between weep, sob, and cry. This next poem's in a form of a sonnet again. A self-love poem. I buy myself postcards of everywhere I've been, without a postmark, the look I go for, vintage. A crowded San Francisco cable car in sepia, or a faded scene, fences age, barely holding up, like in the pastures of Steinbeck novels, how green a green pasture can be. The cards I wish for, I buy, don't wait for them to be sent to me. Each card stays unfilled out, stays unrenowned. That's my blank message from me to me. Stow them in the second drawer down, to closely look through until I find my needs. Get well with its undying painted bouquet. Bon voyage, where the girl waves the ship away. This next poem is in the form of a sestina. It's a 17th century Italian form. Sestina after quitting smoking. I miss the lighting as much as the smoking. Being a smoker, I miss most. I had my last cigarette Sunday, used a match, enjoyed that last strike. It's been 20 years of this persona. Is this the last of this persona? After a meal alongside my coffee, I smoke 3 in 20 minutes sometimes. It broke up time. I miss all the paraphernalia. I'll get into candles, enjoy my good luck charms and clean ashtrays. Cigarettes calmed me. Those scientists tested cigarettes and they don't do squat for stress or persona. Sometimes it's my only enjoyment. They're magic, those smokes, my pick of poisons. I was Miss Badass Cowgirl Harley Lucky in a pack of 20. Marlboro Reds got me, $20 a carton in New Hampshire. Of cigarettes, I won't miss having to ask where and when to be that persona. And the sadness of my clients when I can't bum them a smoke. I won't have to say no as much. How enjoyable. The enjoyment I had of smoking 20 times a day, now I just fiend for a smoke, 2 cigarettes when I'm talking, or 3 cigarettes when I'm thinking about the past, when my persona was my whole self. I miss checking my purse to make sure I have my missing habit, try to enjoy my life being emptier, more room to find my sunglass case, my 20s, my lip balm, or a new persona. Me smelling of roses, not tobacco, me without cigarettes, me not smoking. Now it's been 20 days since I had a cigarette. I'll always be missing this persona. Enjoy the new me, the smoker who quit. Six attempts to record my out-of-office message at the shelter. Version 1. Sorry, I cannot take your call right now. If you need immediate assistance, contact someone essential. I am essential, but unavailable. I am not boots on the ground enough to help you. Version 2. I'm not here right now. If you could see me, you'd think I look so young, so healthy, but my cardiologist told me otherwise. Version 3. My heart is not as good as the Tin Man's heart in The Wizard of Oz. At least his gift was pristine and mechanically perfect. I'm more of a disaster when I hear the train to the workplace I can't go to anymore. Version 4. I feel like I am not a fighter for the first time. Am I a hider? My persona shot. I'm not who I thought, so please leave a message after the tone. Version 5. Due to not being present and in person at this critical time, I want to thank you in advance for your forgiveness. Version 6. After the beep, please tell me everything. Like you, I wear my damaged heart on my sleeve. Booth 23 at the Wellfleet Flea Market. There's the flannel-shirted man selling ivory next to the hot dog stand. Is it real? Too white to be real. This box full of small, uncrafted pieces. If they're real, I'll buy them. I ask if it's old ivory, the kind of ivory the Romans used for the whites of an eye in their statues, or the ivory the Irish decorated the hilt of their swords with. If it's the ivory Vietnamese used as a seal for their documents, the ivory billiard balls and piano keys were made of, pre-illegal trade, pre-ban. I have ivory rules. An animal must be dead or the tusks must be so removed from the head, so gone from the jaw that it never could look like it had been attached to a breathing being. It has to be at least 220 years old, not straight from a hunter, but 4 owners past the hunter. Choose the whale or elephant that is least endangered. These are the negotiations I make with myself, a thing so far displaced from the nature of itself, yet unpolished, untumbled, not too far from the truth. This next poem is in the form of a palindrome. Shared title. You say we should own something together. I want a car, my own car, not to share. Old car, not like other cars. Easier to know it's mine. I've spent my whole life not having one. Is joint ownership of a 1979 Jeep Wagoneer with wood paneling something I can adjust to? I've grown into being your emergency contact. Am I ready to look in the rearview mirror without asking, is this mine? Without asking, is this mine? Am I ready to look in the rearview mirror I've grown into? Being your emergency contact with wood paneling, something I can adjust to is joint ownership of a 1979 Jeep Wagoneer. I've spent my whole life not having one. Old car, not like other cars, easier to know it's mine. I want a car, my own car to share with you. Say, we should own something together. Two truths and a lie, a guessing game. Truth, using a pencil makes me write slower. Truth, My life goes faster in ink. Lie, I tell my poems everything. Truth, I can choose somewhere. Truth, I have a place. Lie, I would feel stuck if I had a place. Truth, I am at the ocean. Truth, I look at the ocean only when the ocean's in front of me. Lie, I may not need the ocean. Truth, I've loved. Truth, love is a courageous act. Lie, I love more than I fear. Truth, saying you makes every poem a love poem. Truth, I took you out of my poems so they'd have nothing to do with love. Lie, I want nothing to do with you. Truth, I am good at loving broken people. Truth, a grain of it in every promise. Lie, it's easier to love broken people.
Wow.
And my last poem is At the Tejas Rodeo, Bull Verde, Texas. I show up early so as not to miss the gunshot that starts the show and to be at the chain-linked fence up front. See the chaos of the bleachers filling up, the riders saddling, the cowboys readying the bull, driving the bull to be crazed enough to jump, to be lassoed. And they line horses up for good reason. And I picked the one with the loneliest name, Last Gleaming, as my favorite. A patch over his blind left eye and a birthmark the size of the star on the Texas flag. All Please Rise comes over the speakers, and the woman standing in the dirt starts to sing the national anthem. Everything she wears is leather. I smell that smell of leather. I could smell that smell forever. I put my hand over my heart, or shoot, isn't that the Pledge of Allegiance? Either way, I hold my hand to my heart. Thank you.
Wow, that was great. Alexis, my response to your reading is in the form of a haiku. You shape your poems into beautiful sonnets and other delights. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Well, we'll have time to chat after we hear from the open mic readers, of which we have 13. So please keep your poems, your words to one page or one poem, whichever comes first. And I want to mention that next month, coming up, we've got Robbie Gamble and Margot Wazansky, who will also be teasing us with a poem during the open mic. And then for our April Fool's reading, Brittany Perham. So lots to look forward to get us through the winter. So first up, I'd like to introduce David Miller.
Okay, well, how about that? Thank you, Richard and Quintin and Alexis. That's so invigorating from both of you. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Get a little brighter.
And yeah, so
Just looking up my nostrils, which I don't like.
we should probably all be muted. That's probably a good idea, except for the person speaking. Thank you. So anyway, this poem titled Fear from Fright. I carried rubber gloves as prophylactics against alien doorknobs. We scrubbed our groceries, panicked that our plague might be as much attached to fomites as to aerosols. I couldn't quite believe that still warm laundry would corrupt after resting on an unsterilized tabletop. I also didn't disbelieve it. May I allow myself a modest smile for the physical dread we handed one to one? In place of Homo sapiens' religion of raw dominance over matter, the repressed returned. Every sugar bowl, subway strap conspired to smother us, innocent in bed. Compare and contrast. 1. My death, irrelevant to this teakwood coaster. 2. Slow mass suicide by fathers, mothers, worshippers who gunpoint caution, force it off the premises. When I have fears that I may cease to be, dear Keats, what may you did, I will. But greater than that fear is chronophobia, the terror of each goodnight kiss, dog walk, sandwich, those many seconds closer to a lunchless, laughless, terminal blank. I tell myself, spare yourself from the fright of life. For November dew street windows, for this almost solid body, be rescued. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Next up, we have Shelby Allen.
Thank you, Richard and Quintin and Alexis and David. The title of this poem comes from the New York Times newspaper. The beaver should thank the wolf. Dear wolf, I'm chomping this for you in our secret notch code. Two Legs thinks tree stumps are useless. Yuppie's prowling again, put you back on his kill list to make the West safe for cattle. Can't he smell cattle poop mucking the streams? Two Legs eats using money, blames you for how you eat. He can't imagine he'd ever be food the way I understand. My flesh could feed you. Life is bigger than we are, beautifully planned. I want to thank you for all the aspens, willows, and cottonwoods. Elk, those pigs, ate the riverbank treeless until they smelled you and ran scared. Two Legs thinks he's top eater, thinks life is a ladder. He's tottering. Life is a circle that you started again. Frogs, otters, warblers, even weasels are back, our fast swimming pals. I made a pond with the new trees, built a home, carried the muddy thatch grass in my paws. I bet Two Legs thinks I'm cute. True, I'm friendly, eat only tree bark. Well, I trusted him and he trapped me. I use my teeth to create, not to kill. Two Legs can't make up his mind who you are. Grandma in a bonnet, free spirit calling him, marauder of his cows. He drew a map on pressed tree pulp, imagining you'd stay inside his lines. Let's show him how safe he is. Go piss on his beds. Your steaming juice could kill his sperm. Goodbye, Two Legs. Hello, green earth with full moon howling. Your brother, Beaver.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Next up, we have Rick Ribstein.
Truth. These have all been amazing. Lie. I'm not enjoying myself. That's not the poem. The poem is called Atom and Evie. Atom, A-T-O-M, and Evie, capital E, capital V. Adam and Evie wandered in the garden. All forms of life slithered and swarmed around them. Adam swatted them away to make a space for Evie to admire and please her. She said no and placed a gentle hand on the head of a snake. And Adam knew how he was a wriggling brother and felt bad for his swat. The forms of life, encouraged, swarmed in closer, but he called out to empty space to rescue him. Evie, call out to him, roll up to him, Give him another apple.
Thank you, Rick. Next up, we have Robbie Gamble.
Thank you, Richard, and thank you, Alexis and Quintin. You both have such singular voices. It's really amazing to hear your work. This is the first time this is from my chapbook, A Can of Pinto Beans, and this is the first time I'm actually reading from the book, so it's kind of thrilling. This is a poem called Hello Kitty Backpack. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. Ajo, Arizona. I came upon you 12 miles from the nearest paved road. Prim magenta bow above one ear, unblinking face tipped up into the sun from your peppermint pink zippered pocket. Kitty, surely you must know all things in the desert fade and crack, but you seem serene, one paw raised, a demure shrug. It's 110 degrees today, hushed but for the pulse in my ears, the clink of a kicked rock. You are so petite. A change of clothes, a liter water bottle would overwhelm your empty belly. Kitty, I don't want to know the story of this destination. And as for your travel companion.
Heartbreaking.
Oh, quite good.
Thank you, Robbie.
Right.
Up next, we have Diane Silvestri.
I haven't seen her in a while.
Wow, it's a great evening. Thank you to the main poets tonight and all the rest of you. I'm just thrilled to be here. This poem has returned after a first round in the workshop, recently written. Title, Fancy I Thought They Were. Back then anyway, the stack of 4 clear polished plates, their edges like nude pink lips, serenely smiling. 3 lucent cups close by with ice noodle handles arching to caress the soft pink cheeks, all high on the shelf behind glass doors in what we called the china cabinet. I was sure they were precious. The doors would rattle open to the twist of a small black key if some unlikely occasion warranted the risk of using the silken plates, like when their fragile fluted sun rays flashed on the tablecloth after Uncle Dave's funeral. How mistaken I was. Those beauties were, I later learned, depression glass, mass-produced, thin, penny per plate dishware distributed as promotions at gas stations to guarantee a platter for the plebes like us.
Thank you, Diane. And now, please welcome Steve Nickman.
Did you know everybody's gonna be there?
Thanks, Richard, and what wonderful work tonight. It's amazing. This is called Espionage. We don't know each other's names. In the early morning cemetery, our paths cross. I walk where my binoculars take me. He takes his orders from Ingress on his cell phone. Our talks are furtive, brief. He asks, why does the hawk scream when it displays? He alerts me to the red-bellied woodpecker. For weeks I avoid the cold. Then he asks me what I've seen. Nothing but blue jays and inscriptions. He nods, inquires about a gray bird, sparrow-sized, white tail feathers. My guess is a junco, I say. We'll verify. Back in my place, I Xerox the ID, put it in an envelope, hand it off at sunset. We proceed quickly in opposite directions.
Thank you, Steve. Excellent. Next up, we have Carla Schwartz.
Hi, I think I'm unmuted. Yes, I'm unmuted. Okay. So I'm going to just because Alexis and Quintin did beautiful readings, but Alexis reminded me that I wrote a triolet not too long ago, and I'm going to read mine. It's a very short 9-line poem. Around the block, it's balmy on this neighborhood ride I take around the block. In his hospital room, my father lies. His balmy neighborhood ride won't occur till he's died. Until then, I suppress my tears and talk. Say, it was balmy, that neighborhood ride I took around the block.
Beautiful. Wow, thank you. Oh. And now, please welcome Margot Wazamski.
Hi, everyone. That was a magnificent reading tonight. Both of you. It was just wonderful, inspiring. Consider this beauty.
Louder.
I'm walking under a sky dense with cloud cover. Sunset flames as the cloud breaks open. Stripes of water glimmer pure cerulean through a stand of evergreens. A few trees hold on to their brilliance. Ahead on the road, a buck turns to look at me while I listen to the great mortality on my phone. History of epidemics, hysteria and blaming in the Middle Ages, and on to the centuries that followed. Jews caused the plagues, shoot them, burn them, no need for trial or even accusation. I pass my neighbor's truck parked behind a clump of golden grasses, sporting a sticker that rumbles and shouts like these. Trump is still my president. Liberalism is the real pandemic. As a former fetus, I choose life. Take your COVID vaccine and shove it. Hate connected underground like mushrooms, extending across the country. Hate that can show its face anytime, drive its truck into a crowd. The earth chokes from the hate. I feel it in my bones as I walk lonely under that fiery sunset. In the yard, a swarm of swallows zigzags, gathering for the southward flight. All is quiet except the birds. I'm still in love with this world, how it goes on while we try so hard to trouble it.
Well, thank you, Margot. Okay, elsewhere in our room, please welcome Carrie Loftman.
Hello. I'm having the best time tonight. I am unmuted, aren't I? Okay. My new poet crush calls in a molasses drawl, insinuates illicit, practices pause, hones pain on the sharp angles of his hominy handsome face, zooms a rusty pickup down bone jarring roads of raw, scratches memory from under nicotine scabs,
builds a loam of grief from silt and shame and clay, coerces a crow to caw in my far and wide. Hard consonants tinder my heart and slowly flame. I become the heat on his fanned cheek.
Thank you. And now the longest named reader for tonight. Let me see if I get this right, Maria. Maria Luisa Arroyo Cruzado.
Very good. Thank you. So my name is Maria Luisa Arroyo Cruzado, and I'm reading the poem First Fear Steps from my chapbook, Destierro Means More Than Exile, for Audre Lorde and Mai Ayim. You inspired Afro-German women poets in Berlin to take what is theirs, their Germanness, their mother tongues, their skin, rise up, rise through the corrosive myth that German equals white equals purity equals go back to where you came from. Ich bin von hier, wie du bin ich im Mutterleib gewachsen. Wie du war ich vom Brot und Wasser und der gedämpften Musik einer deutschen Frauenstimme ernährt, die sprach und sang und flüsterte in ihren Träumen über mein Werden. Ich gehöre hierher, nirgendwo anders. I am from here. Just like you, I grew in a woman's womb. Just like you, I was nourished with bread and water and the muffled music of a German woman's voice who spoke and sang and whispered in her dreams about my becoming. I belong here, nowhere else.
Wow, fantastic. Thank you. Up next, here is Glenn Koenig.
There we go. Now I'm unmuted. I hadn't written anything for a long time, and this came out of me late last year. It's called Now Hear This. Mother Nature has no money to spend, no ballots to cast, nor emails to transmit to agents of our governments. She speaks no human tongue, cannot read or write nor text, our dialects always changing, her language ever timeless. What choice has she but to bring us storms and fires and floods and drought, heat and cold, blistering and bitter, winds of great force to scatter our tiny constructions, invisible agents to make us sick, perhaps from beasts we kept close to eat. But she must tell us of our excesses, her message to us we must now listen. We are not bad, nor is she mean. She knows no fault, and neither shall we. Humanity before us did mine and pump, then burned and enslaved their way to our prosperity. Even they in the past, we cannot judge. We have no time to untangle old riddles of human nature. We find ourselves with all they gave us, things to enjoy, things to dread. Lose the chains of guilt, drop the finger of blame, stop to experience silence long enough to find the love in our deepest hearts, sink into the gratitude that nature has given us, our breath, our thirst, our hunger, our feelings, our thoughts, our opportunities to love, to dance, to sing. Listen to the stories of others, of living things, of mountains, of oceans, particles of sand. Love the microbes, the worms, the snails, the fish, as much as the cute furry ones. Love the people whose skin is a shade or hair or gender that differ from your comfort zone. Today, let's share joy with each other and within our own wonderful selves.
Fabulous. Poetry nurtures love. Thich Nhat Hanh.
Thank you.
And here is Connemara Wadsworth.
I am so impressed with Quintin's work. I've not known about you or known your work, so I was very pleased to hear what you had to say. And Alexis, as always, you're fabulous. I'm going to read a small poem on the Lamprey River. Ice thick and smooth enough to skate on, its treacherous flow and cold below runs its course through woods and fields, backyards, and this day a bare and gleaming invitation. What better use is there for a frozen river in winter? A family skating, just them, woods that frame the ice with a splash of light. The child holds out her arms to steady her sway, left, then right. As day wanes, it grays, draws in on the narrowing sun's streak, shrinks as the red-cheeked family climbs the riverbank, leaving a lace of winter tracings.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you, Carnamara. Well,
Thank you.
On the note that was sounded first by Glenn and now by you, Carnamara, I'd like to close out our open mic with a poem I wrote called Snow. I love the manifold flakes up to my hips in the secret marriage of liquid and solid, the disorderly orders of glory casting a kingly robe over the yard, whiter than the notion of white. Sometimes a heart gets cold, so you bring it inside to sigh by the fire, to melt. Everything is an experiment in drifting, a left-handed squall, purpose forgotten in the royal raiment, remembrance of a childhood snow day when time itself seemed to fall from the sky, gifting freedom from all institutions. I want to lie down in winter's happiness with itself, seek out my favorite hour when no one can find me. So that's the wrap of our poetry section, but please unmute yourselves and speak words of gratitude and wonder at what we have witnessed here tonight. This will go down in history as kind of warming of the planet, even though that sounds bad, but it's really good.
Thank you, Richard. It was really great tonight.
It was. Very special night.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm glad I tuned in.
You know, Maria, I went to hear Audre Lorde at Sanders Theater in Cambridge one time, and I had a very amazing response because she read a poem, and then afterwards we started to applaud, and she said, "Oh, no, no, no. Use it. Use it. Take it in. Don't send me back stuff. Take that into you." And I never forgot that.
Wow.
That is so wonderful.
Also, you spoke German fluently. I thought you were going
I
to
am
break
fluent,
into
yes.
Spanish or something.
But I think that's an essay or poems in the making. I speak 4 languages. Spanish is my
Wow.
first language. English is my second. German, Deutsch ist wie meine Muttersprache. So I went to Colby, Tufts, and Harvard, ABD in German language and literature. And then Farsi is my 4th. So 4 languages and cultures live and breathe in my body. And so, but I do want to first, but the reason I came tonight, I want to celebrate Quintin, you know, and also Alexis, amazing readings in terms of Quintin, in terms of this intentional code switching, you know, even within the land and owning a spectrum of language and reminding us that it's not either or, it's and, you know, and then with Alexis's, you know, again, this deft, you know, claiming a form for their own, you know, that the form just becomes invisible, becomes this invisible scaffolding, containers for grief, for experience, for honest emotion, because that's the only way we can contain that. When we are so negatively overwhelmed, perhaps by experiences, And so both, and I love the synergy between both. I marvel. So thank you for this amazing evening.
Wow, so well put. Thank you so much.
Mm.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye, everybody. Good night.
I just wanted to say thank you to Richard for creating a warm place for cold poets to come inside.
Well, thank you all for being here. And I think, you know, if I'd had this evening, I might not have needed the heart surgery that I went through a couple of years ago.
Oh. Wow. Mm.
But it gave me a good poem. You know, sometimes people say, nothing bad happens to a writer. It's just more material. But sometimes, particularly in these times, you might say to yourself, but please, Lord, less material.
Yes.